is DavidDOquendo, and welcome to my studio. Alright, so today I decided to actually video record or provide, I guess, video tutorials of some of my art lessons that I teach at work. Today, what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of combine two separate art genres or art movements in art history, and we're gonna we're going to combine abstract expressionism and also pop art. All right, so what is abstract expressionism? Abstract expressionism. Got tongue-tied there. So abstract expressionism is a post-World War II art movement in American painting developed in New York City in 1940s. It was first specifically an American movement to achieve international influence and put New York at the center of the Western art world, a role formerly filled by Paris, which is pretty awesome. So a few known abstract expressionists are like Jackson Pollock, Mark Rothko, Willem de Kooning, and several more. You can, if you're in the New York tri-state area, there's plenty of abstract expressionism pieces you can see. It is way too hard to be making a video, but it's okay. Let's move on. And the second half of the painting, so we're gonna split this piece into two parts. The second half, we're gonna use some pop art, specifically Roy Lichtenstein. Some people say Lichtenstein, some people say Lichtenstein. My art history professor rather, Paul Sternberger, called it Lichtenstein, so I call it Lichtenstein. So Roy Lichtenstein was an American pop artist during the 1960s, along with Andy Warhol, Jasper Johns, and James Rosenquist. Among others, he became a leading figure in the new art movement. His work defined the premise of pop art through parody. And of course, Roy Lichtenstein has a lot of different pieces, but the one, I guess, series that I'm kind of inspired by is the brushstrokes series, where he painted / printed brushstrokes. But it's a very interesting series of work, which I really like. But overall, I really like Roy Lichtenstein's work because I'm a fan of comics, and he very much used and appropriated comics in his work. Anyway, let's continue. So what do you need? Well, first you definitely need paper. What paper do I recommend? I recommend you grab any multi-purpose paper. Why? Because there's a good chance if you're watching this video, you're probably one of my students, or you're, a kid that's wanting to get into art and unsure. So I'm kind of sticking to things you might be able to find in any sort of like convenience store or maybe supermarket. I know supermarkets definitely have like arts and crafts sections, or even pharmacies definitely have arts and crafts sections. So I'm trying to stick to things that you might be able to find in those sort of stores. You definitely need multi-purpose paper that can take watercolors, paint, markers, etc. And you also need one of these. Again, this is kind of fancy, but any type of watercolor kit. This one's kind of fancy, but you don't need to go all fancy like this one. You can use any student basic kit. And of course, with your kit, you definitely need brushes. So I recommend having one fairly large brush and a few small ones. So again, if you don't have a big and small, you can just pick one and stick with it. But I like to use a variety of different brushes, but big one and a few small ones. And lastly, again, sticking to what you might be able to find at a pharmacy or supermarket, Sharpies. Grab a fine point Sharpie and an ultra fine point Sharpie. And by this point in the video, you're probably seeing me work on this fairly quickly. It's kind of time lapse or sped up, but I'm just focusing, the beginning I'm just kind of focusing on just taking a handful of colors. I kind of just picked 3 basic warm colors like magenta, orange, and red, and I just kind of swirled them about. I didn't think too much of what I'm creating. Again, I'm being inspired by abstract expressionism, and I'm kind of painting from the subconscious, right? So I'm not too concerned of how it looks like. I'm just kind of grabbing paint and swirling it about, and of course you have to allow it to dry. And then soon after, once it's dry, then I kind of pull from a little bit of Roy Lichtenstein brushwork pieces, and I outline the work, or rather I outline just the parts where there's actual paint. Of course, you have to wait till the paint actually dries. Don't do it while the paint is still wet, because it'll just kind of become all muddy and such. And first I outline certain parts, and again I use both fine point and ultra fine point markers to kind of create a bit of a contrast. And again, I'm not overthinking it. Again, I am referencing Roy Lichtenstein's work, but I'm not straight out copying it. I'm more kind of just being inspired by the work itself. And this, from start to finish, this took me about an hour, not including the drying period. So right when I actually start painting and making all the line work, is about an hour. So if you are doing this assignment in my classroom, this might take you maybe 2 class periods overall. If you're doing it at home, you can do multiples of these. My suggestion, if you are home, to do 3 or 4 or 5 pieces or paintings at once. So if you get tired of one, you can move on to the other. And what is the last thing to recommend? Oh yeah, last thing I recommend is have fun. Don't overthink this. It's supposed to be just a kind of fun activity / piece. Don't think about what it means, or don't think about the sort of historical context. Again, I provide historical context, so you know, so there is historical context, but don't overthink it. Don't try to make a pop art piece. Don't really try to make a abstract expressionistic piece. Just kind of use that as like a jumping off point, like a trampoline to kind of start your piece. But wherever it goes, it goes. And I'm actually kind of curious, if you do this tutorial, let me know, or this piece, let me know. And last but not least, I do have an Etsy shop, so I'm gonna try to put up this one I'm doing right now in the video up available. So I'm always encouraging people, young and old, you know, again, you don't have to do this, it's just an encouragement to, you know, there are different avenues and websites where you can sell your artwork, and it feels good when you make a piece and you actually make some sort of profit. Not saying that you specifically create artwork for profit, but it's a good feeling when, you know, you kind of go about this creative endeavor and you're like, oh wait, I can actually make a living off of this, or make some money off of this. You know, it's kind of cool. Anyway, so that's probably the end of the video. And if you did this piece, or if you did it with me, or if you're inspired by it and you made something, please let me know what you did. Of course in the comments, or if you're watching this due to a class project, which is highly likely, let me know in person or in the comments as well. Anyway, with that said and done, hope you enjoyed the video, and have a great day. Take care. Bye bye.